All right. Hello, hello, welcome in. I'm Mr. Coach Henson, Coach Mr. Henson, Coach Mr. Anu. Whatever you do, it's up to you. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
I'm Summer. I'm I the one of those that sent that informed consent back to you. Summer
Oh,
without the last name, just Summer.
okay. Summer like a breeze.
Yeah,
Summer
Summer
breeze.
Breeze.
All right. Well, great to meet you, Summer. I think
Nice.
it's wonderful that you're here. And I know that there are a few different things that you wanted to look at, but before we got started, I wanted to make sure that we reviewed the coaching consent form, that you understood, what you were getting here, limitations, and at the end of the day, clear up any confusion for you. How does that sound?
If you can help curb my confusion, Mister, that sounds amazing.
All right, well, let's do our best to try, okay? All right, so gonna go ahead and share this guy for us. And here it is. So here's our coaching informed consent form. Gives you information about what we're going to be doing, a few limitations, and then at the end of the day, you consent to these statements made. So, starting off with the first, we are using Zoom. Are you aware of this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It's one of the easier ones. I probably couldn't have figured out anything else. I've got technical issues.
Well, that's just fine. I think this is pretty simple too. There's actually another one called Loom. Loom is pretty good too because it embeds right into emails. So I think that would be something that we can look into, and check out and maybe possibly do some sessions that way. Um, they create links, so it's pretty functional. But just like Loom, just like Zoom, and any other platforms, we are using video and audio, and we're recording these sessions so we can reflect. And so our first statement is us understanding that we can go and participate and know that all things are going to be private. These things are between you and I. They go into an archive, and then these things are going to be saved in order for us to document your success, just like we keep other papers here at the school.
I
Does that make
appreciate that.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Awesome, awesome. So, these excerpts, again, they're going to be used and they're going to be utilized for the advancements of your peers, whether they're here, whether they're later. The idea is we're going to use this information. Um, any part of the conversation will be kept confidential, like always, like we said. Um, no information will be disclosed. Again, we want to keep this private between you and I. But at the end of the day, you don't have to always give your full name. You can give an alias.
Mhm.
Um, and that helps us stay concurrent with HIPAA and FERPA laws, just so we can make sure that everything
What
is.
is FERPA?
FERPA is like HIPAA but for the workplace,
Oh, okay, thank
and it it allows any type of situation between a client, a therapist, a counselor, any one-on-one consultation. It allows for the protection of that information within that protection. Just like HIPAA would be essentially the same thing, but for one's medical records, because this is within the medical health realm, mental counseling, health counseling, life coaching. Um, these things kind of flirt and work together, and HIPAA and FERPA both helps to protect those things and keep them confidential.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So there is a limit. 3 months is this grace period that we're asking for this information. Then they will be deleted and no longer archived within the system. Is that
Okay.
all right?
Mhm.
All right. And just want to read this last one out loud, just to make sure that it's clear and is word for word verbatim. I understand that if the recording of the counseling session activates any suicidal ideations or other potentially harmful thoughts, I will reach out to a professional in my area immediately. Neither GCU or the college nor the counseling student will be held accountable if I harm myself.
Okay. Yeah, that's that would be interesting if I can't quite imagine what a person would do in a situation like that. Woo! You're on a Zoom and you cannot literally, touch them and they're suicidal would be like, whoa. Huh.
Yeah, these are protections that we take because we never know. We never know. So it's
Right.
always best to, cover our bases, especially verbalizing that last one. That's a pretty heavy duty statement to, consent to, but it's the protections of all parties involved. So,
I see that. That's good. I like that.
all right. And so we have this information here. Now, we were talking about, I believe you got in contact with us due to um, this program that we were working on. Is this correct?
Yes, it was interesting. I like to know about myself. And I took a personality or artificial intelligence, something one of those, and it just really gave me a lot of information about myself. So when it came up that I had the opportunity to find out about this and take this test with you, I went for it.
Nice, nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. And so, Summer, because you have such an interest in this and an interest in yourself, do you think that may have influenced your results? Just before we get there, or how would you define that action in your own world before we even get to the results?
Well, I struggle with a couple of different things. Now I got my tongue stuck on something. I struggle in a couple areas, and I'm always very upfront about it. But technically, I'm doing a coaching graduate class. But the reason I did the class, let me explain. I'm a therapist. I've got a master's degree in science and clinical mental health, and I had a bachelor's degree in psychology emphasis addictions. The reason is because I have a significant past that I have ever since I walked into uh, prison. I made sure that I started stepping up. I just kept going. I started with any class that they gave there and learning and learning and learning and learning. I had a mental thought that as I was sitting there one day, and anybody that's like been using for years and then is in a spot of spirituality and clarity, they can sometimes, have these moments of aha, like, oh, I would love to help others transition. Okay. Not that I was even ready at that spot, but the thought was in my head. And I believe that
Mhm.
God, because I'm faith based, I don't go to church. My church is the beauty in nature and everything, but I believe that He started me on this path. Every door has opened, and I'm not going to say things have been easy, okay? But then I got to technical parts, okay? And I'm older. I will be 65 in December. And it was nice when it was only going to be 64 because I reversed it 46. That's the way I felt. I didn't feel 64, but I don't like the 50, this 65 because that reverse doesn't work for me. My head's in my 30s. I'm not, but I come across a lot of adversity with it's so significant on paper, my crimes. Okay. But they laughed at me literally. When I was in prison, people were like, "You're so not a criminal, you just fun." But I was given every opportunity, everything. It was like, here is this woman who's got this outgoing personality that, you know, made this horrendous choice and but it doesn't fit her, it didn't fit me. But being a little bit older, they allowed me to do things in there that most people couldn't. I didn't have to stay in my room when other people stayed in. I have been just blessed. Um, and none of it seems hard now. None of it seems hard. It just seems it doesn't even seem real because it was so long ago. But I struggle. It's not as bad as it was with imposter syndrome. Like, who the heck do I think I am that I can help others? Every day in my therapy practice, I do help people. Um, but trying to get a training license has been really hard. So then I went for a pardon, okay? And I went for the pardon because I thought I wouldn't have to write everything down on my license. Like if they gave me a pardon, then I wouldn't have to write down. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way. They say on any professional licensing thing that you're filling out, they want any misdemeanors or expunged, whatever. So here I had to write it down anyways. But it's like my boss and anybody is like, there's no reason you can't get this. Well, I'm down to the wire before I have to stop seeing clients unless I stay student status. But the reason I took the coaching class is because I thought, oh, okay, I love to help people. I can just go do, you know, help people, take this coaching class and be a coach. I thought it was that easy. Guess what? It is not that easy. There's way more to it than that. That was a naive thought that I didn't explore or check into at all. So that's where I'm at. And I'm trying to build my confidence up. And when I know about myself and something that I take gives me that, aha, I'm on the right path. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. It sounds like you have a ton on your plate right now, Summer, but these are burdens and responsibilities that you chose and that you desire to have. Going back to school is never, ever easy for anybody. And then after all of the adversity that you've been through, you're still making these strides. You're still bettering yourself. It's awesome to hear. It's definitely something that it's helping you already, I think, more than what you know. And I think you're starting to understand that, which I think is where some of the difficulties come in from the education. You're able to see parts, where life didn't introduce them to you, personally. So like you can see, you can look at other people, clients, you can reflect, and you can find a lot of value in supporting people. But even by you responding here and getting this consultation, um, you're also supporting yourself. So I'm excited to see if these things actually pop up into your results, because if that's what your mindset is at, I think that these would be great like areas of focus for you, so we can look to see where aspects are that we can improve, even if it's just a little bit, and then where we can improve, even if it's a whole lot of it. We
Mhm.
also want to keep in mind that there's things that we're good at that we want to maintain. So, looking at the inside version of us and then the outside version of us is a really good start, especially when we're processing things from old and then we're stepping to new things. So, just keeping that student status, let's say, it's going to further your education even more, which is furthering your understanding, and it's furthering the time that you have, to really process and continue to create new stories about the things of the past as you're painting your future and writing your story of right now. So, good job.
Yeah, till I look at my student debt.
I think everybody, that's a
Well,
that's a
I did.
something for all of us. But it's
I
it's, it's
never
really
even
important though
worried
that
about.
you got.
I just it just kept
What was that?
going.
I'm sorry.
I never worried about it. It was like um, out of sight, out of mind, and I knew that it also helped me because of the financial help that I got because I've been on Social Security disability since 2010. So I had a lot of things that I had to overcome. But chronic fatigue, I could fall asleep, which I'm doing a lot better now. But going to school with chronic fatigue syndrome online, when you read a sentence and you got the keyboard printed on the top of your head because you fell asleep on it, it's been, it's
Yeah.
like, wow, you really made it a hard to do, but I have gotten good grades. And do you know how satisfying that is to know that you've maintained a 3.48 average at 64 years old for your master's degree or a graduate class? It's like I am I have a lot to be, wow, I did that. That's there. Those are on the wall. I see that, I got that. And now I'm going to have graduate
Right.
coaching. So the education is there. The life experience is definitely there. Now it's pulling that confidence out and overcoming my weak spots, like you said.
And that's part of the journey. That's what's going to make you, this value now versus a different value later. That's the start of somebody's journey versus the end of somebody's journey. And there's always a lot of differences, a lot of obstacles, a lot of beauty, a lot of blessings, a lot in between. I think it's the process is what, most coaches would call it. But the journey is, I think, more influential upon the psyche because we're always journeying through different aspects. Maybe that's emotional, maybe that's going to be a mental thought, maybe it's actions of the past, maybe it's projections of what we want in the future. But both of these, this internal world, this external world being expressed in one way versus another, it allows us to really appreciate ourselves. And I think that's what you're doing here because you're a wonderful, awesome person, and you've reached out and you're still supporting yourself. You're still reaching for more goals to help you, even in your elder years. I know you said mentioned that you were an older lady, and
Yeah.
I think that's quite fine, especially because you are doing things and taking actions and treating yourself as if you were a young lady. So kudos to you for even taking the initiative to continue doing with what you're doing with. It's amazing. Whether the debt is there or not, you still have the opportunity to give yourself a chance. And that's what you did. And even by reaching out and doing the dis assessment, I think that you really are taking chances. And I think that is what is important to understand. I think that's where you're at right now. You're taking well thought out decisions, choices, opposed to the bad decision that you mentioned earlier today. You just made a uninformed, not thought out decision, and you said it was bad. But here you're practicing doing the opposite, and it's taking you far. So, good
Well,
job, good job. How did you think of the test?
I liked it because the questions were very interesting. It was like, okay, wait a minute. And some of them were almost so similar, you weren't quite sure, well, what would you do? I'm trying to think of a for instance. Um, the meeting, that one meeting, would you stand in the back, if you did, or would you hang with people that you knew, or would you make new friends or something like that? There would be a couple different things there. If I was confident and I'm the one running the meeting, then I would have the confidence to speak. Okay. So, if you get me talking about addiction, or somebody gaslighting or um narcissism and trauma, I'll really get into I can take over a whole conversation with that, right? And, with confidence. Uh, but if I'm not confident about the situation or I'm intimidated, let's just say I went to a Tony Robbins webinar, all right? I'd be that person, sort of, I'd be talking and excited, but would I be confident enough to get caught up in the hype, that goes on there? Or would I just, I'm not sure because I want to dab in social media. I want to start an outlet that will get to the public that I want to get to slowly start a platform, you know? I watched a woman on TikTok last night. She is taking care of her mother and her grandmother who both were addicted, right? And her mother, she got her out of the house, helped her she's got the finances too, but she's really made a change in her life. And then she went in and cleaned the house and stuff. It's like she got right in the addiction and met them where they were at and wasn't judging because she researched, to me. But she TikToked all this and then she said she wants to do more. So it was really interesting to watch her mother's progress and her grandmother's decline. Um, like her mother, it was like, well, this woman went from aging and just terrible to this gorgeous woman, That's what healthy food and medication and everything can do. But I want something. I'm grasping. I'm grasping, mister. I'm grasping.
Well, that's a good thing to always keep in mind and have, just because of the simple fact that it allows you to continue. If you're leaping and grasping. But I think you'll get a few of your answers right now as we go over your results.
Okay.
So, starting off, here you go. Here are your results. You got style is S, which means supportive. Now, before we get into this much further, I do want to break down the actual tables. So, first we need to understand each one of these We have two different tables, your natural internal style and your adaptive external style. Now, I want to break that down a little bit more for you so you can understand it in regards to you, because this is your stuff, but these are general words. So, if we take a look at the internal style, we see that we are measuring internal styles of living through the answers that you chose of the least. The answers when you selected the least has an intensity and a motivation behind them. So, per the motivations of each of these styles of personality, the supportive measurement on the inside of you was the highest and the least answers. So what that means is if there is a situation where you would not support a person, that would be one of the questions where you probably answered least unlikely to do. You're probably going to help that person. So that is what this chart over here is showing. It's showing us what we see on the outside. How will we respond in opposite fashion on the inside? Because the outside is not the inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does more than I understood before. So is that saying, since they're both in blue, that my internal style is the same, reflected almost as my external style, because they're both
Yep,
blue?
exactly. And so, but this one is measured off of two different things. This is measured upon frequency and then your behaviors. So look at it as this. This is people watching you enact behaviors that you feel on the inside. So this is how often, okay, people see you do supportive behaviors. And so you're really consistent in how people view you when you're doing this support. And again, you're thinking about situations that you're seeing on the outside, whether they need support or not, but then you're over here being viewed as a person who is consistently supportive. Again, most of the situations where you would say, yes, I will go over there and help, uh, that's the type of responses that we're measuring here and here. You've already said it. It was hard because initially when you took the test, there was questions that were so close and almost super similar. Well, the point of them is to try to create categories of these type of answers. And this is a common practice. They use this in the ACT and the SAT across the nation. So it's something that is utilized, but it helps the algorithm of the answers be categorized within these styles that you see. Notice, nobody ever sees you be a dominant factor towards other people. You're never going to just try to dominate somebody. That is, again, a really important thing to pay attention to. Versus here, you have a really good balance of motivations and how much you are motivated by those factors. You have a really good balance, and then all of that comes out to be supportive, which is why people see you as so supportive. They see you as inspiring, and sometimes you can be a little cautious, but most of the time you're going to dive in there and then you're going to get the job done and help somebody. But here, you're never going to just beat somebody down. They'll rarely ever see it, but it's happening. So these are the things that may be missed until you get a chance to, bolster that confidence. Like when you're controlling a meeting or, your therapy sessions, when you get into that role and responsibility, that part starts to shine a little bit more because
Ah,
it is in that position. But
that,
what you should do is you should see yourself as always in that position, and more of this will be able to come out because no matter what, no matter how high this bar gets, it can exceed this maximum over here and over here. So you're always going to be seen as supportive on a consistent scale. And again, you're going to have to take some super drastic measure to not be seen at a very highly motivated, supportive person. Motivated by the support, motivated by the opportunity to give support.
I like that.
So
That
I'm
makes
sorry we're running out a
sense.
bit out of time.
Okay.
So I'm
Is it
hoping
out
that
of?
this was able to,
No, we
bring
got
you
nine
some
minutes.
more clarity just because you're doing well.
Okay. Awesome. I like it. And thank you. That makes complete sense to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I like this assessment because, I mean, with the right analysis, again, that's really what it comes down to. Even with what they're saying, this is what we're having here as both of these styles. But if we was to take a little bit further further look, these are some words that would describe you, or people would see you in that consistent. So people would view you as consistently helpful and supportive, so consistently kind and supportive, consistently friendly and supportive, consistently warm and supportive. On the flip side, you desire to want to be helpful. You want to treat people kindly. You want to be friendly to people, nice, warm, and loving. And I mean, you do come off just as that. And I mean, what better letter to have for S for summer? I mean, it's
Yeah,
just all
right.
working out. So,
The perfect summer. But that fit. That's when I get into my excitement. That's when I'm like, so strong in. Okay, so when I'm telling somebody, I promise you can do this, you can get the power to go on with your life, that's when I get dominant. That's where. And so what
Mama
you're saying
Bear.
makes so much sense. And I had no idea until you explained it like that. You did an excellent job explaining that to me.
Well, I'm glad you found some clarity upon it because, again, I can see it come off you. And even though we just met, I think that I think that it's pretty cool that you're able to bring in so much of the clarity that you're finding and then communicate that to me. That shows me that you do exude these traits just because of the simple fact that you're familiar with them and how you can see the little adjustment by just using my words again to help support you. Now, because you are a person who understands the world of support, the terminologies, the impacts on the internal and external side, again, I would expect you to be able to now take what you know and like transform everything. Just for the simple fact that like you're already so great with it and it's a skill that you already completely understand, but now you're seeing how it impacts other parts of you. And again, working on those lower parts doesn't mean that these aren't bad at all. At all. It shows that you're super balanced, but you're focused. Again, shows that you're super balanced here, but you're focused. This here is when you're focused. The behavior of you being dominant is rarely ever seen unless it is met by, defending somebody and, the negativity against the negativity that they would have against themselves. When
Yes.
you're inspiring and coaching them up, yes, that energy is already up there. The only reason why it's not more often is because you're busy helping. You're not
Yeah.
busy trying to get them to help themselves.
Yep.
But over here, you're not cautious because you know how to support them in their help. So, in other words, you can help people at a distance. So, again, the way that you're operating doesn't need this, but if you want to show this, do exactly what you said. Put yourself in that position to where you feel like you can, you know, be in that inspirational mode of helping people combat their own negativities. Then you'll be able to say, I feel the power. And again, that's
Yeah.
going to pull this down a little bit, but it's going to lift this up. So, trade
Right.
off, you're still going to be, immensely supportive. It's just now it's going to come off a little more fiery, or maybe a little less more aloof. Whatever you need to do, you'll have the skill set to do it.
All right. Thank you. I definitely um it feels like if it says it there, these are my natural instincts also.
Right.
You know, if I'm answering the questions, these are instinctive, you know? So I like that. You know, there's times where a couple times where, you know, I've dealt with somebody that's in active using and I will listen to what they have to say, you know, but I am not going to, you know, tell them, oh, they have the power to, you know, I'm probably gonna allow them just to go on and hang themselves during the meeting, you know, because I can't talk to somebody when they've got an you know, a brain that's in active addiction because they're not going to hear me, you know? So, and I've seen that within my meetings, they get up and leave. The wife might sit there,
They
but
get
they'll get
upset.
up and leave. Yeah, yeah. So, well, I really I
See,
like where this is going. So, you know, on our next meeting, I'm looking forward to learning more. I appreciate that. Thank you.
awesome, awesome, definitely. And I'm excited to watch you continue to grow. I'm excited to see the changes that you continue to inspire yourself with. And at the end of the day, watch you be great.
Oh
So,
yeah, I
all right.
that's where I'm going. I got the vision board. There's an airplane, a Lincoln Navigator, but I've downgraded. Okay, I'll take that cobalt blue new Chevy little SUV. It's cute, just so my dog can get in there. I'm on top of a mountain in a business suit with a briefcase. Faith, there's three crosses on a hill. I that's my foundation. Um, there's a tiki hut in the middle of the ocean where you walk out there because I promised my grandchildren, the oldest one will be, she's 13 and a half now. There's three of them. I said, when you're graduate, grandma will have enough money in her bank account, and you other two will be old enough where we can all go out to that tiki hut. That's my goal. I got 4 more years. Gotta
There we
get
go.
there. Gotta
Yes.
go
Thinking
there.
ahead.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And there's a
Even
plane
supporting
too.
your timelines.
Yeah, there's a plane because I'm going to fly. I want to do webinars or TED Talks, you know. I want to let people know, you know, about aging and addiction. You know, I this aging thing for a woman is just freaking hilarious. If we don't laugh at some of the things, we would cry. So I'm finding that out, you know, it's real interesting, but I can get others just going till they got tears running down their face just talking about the craziness of what that addiction was or, you know, um everything. But we're almost done. So Mr. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Uh, Thank you very much, Summer. You've been a blast. Again, you're on a very up and up trajectory. And at the end of the day, you got a nice plan ahead of you, girl. So keep it up. Keep it up. And
So
soaring, flying. So,
you know
all
the
right.
guy
I'll see
on
you on the next one, okay?
The Price is Right? The little guy, he climbs up the mountain. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's a good one. So,
All right,
all right, my
thank
dear.
you.
I'll talk to you next time, okay?
Okay, bye
All right.
bye.
Bye bye.